Okay, you guys can hear me. Okay, cool. All right. My apologies on that. Welcome, everybody. Fix this a little bit. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover murder mystery to the paranormal. Today we're going to be going over the latest updates in the Alex Murdaugh trial. Before we get started, as I just noted in the comments, I'm going to quickly plug my Patriot Supply, my affiliate, real quick, and then we'll get started.
Mob crew and friends, are you prepared for the widespread food shortages ahead? Farmers have been warning us for months, but are we listening? They say it's beyond their control, especially with the fertilizer crisis. Bottom line, food shortages will be a harsh reality very soon. That's why you should get ready now with emergency food from My Patriot Supply. And good news, today you'll save 20% on their 3-month food kit. These kits provide delicious, easy to make breakfasts, lunch, dinner, snacks, drinks for one person for 3 solid months. Get one for each member of your family while you're able to save 20% during this timely sale. Remember, My Patriot Supply is the nation's largest preparedness company with millions of families already protected. These 3-month food kits, which average 2,000 calories a day, are in stock and ready to go. Your order ships fast and free and arrives in unmarked boxes. Go to preparewithwww.preparewiththemobcrew.com. Those who know what's coming are already prepared. Are you? Prepare with www.preparewiththemobcrew.com. Thank you so much.
All right, so shout out to My Patriot Supply for being affiliate with this channel. Just making sure the volume's on. Okay. All right, so if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for subscribing. We always like to give back by featuring the missing, and then we'll get right into it. So today's missing, we have missing veteran Matt Kemper. He went missing in early January of this year. January 5th, he went missing somewhere around North Glendale in Nevada just before noon. He has 2018 Chevy Colorado truck is seen up at the top, but it has Utah plates. G32F 5FZ. He could be in the areas of Utah, Arizona, and Nevada, because that area is all kind of just right there, and I'll show a map here in a second. But he's just 46 years old, 5'6", it says needs medical attention, and he is a veteran. If you have any information, you can call 702-828-3111. Oh, let me go back here. And these are kind of all the areas that he could be in. Glen Canyon, Lake Powell, Moab, Utah, Farmington. They're all kind of right there. And then we've got one more, and we have Austin Madsen. He also went missing in January of 27th. He went missing out of Mount Dutton in the Kanab area of Utah, which is kind of down south, close to Arizona border. He is 6'2", skinny build, hazel eyes, longish brown hair. He was out snowshoeing. I believe he had been in contact with family/friends, said that he may be heading towards the Kanab area, which is south. But it doesn't seem like he made it. This is just kind of an overview of where he went missing. I believe this is called Black Canyon up in here. They found his truck. They did follow his footprints in the snow for a certain bit, but they lost his track, sadly. And I'll have to check with some people that are connected with the family, see if there's any updates. But sadly, still no update, or still haven't found him. But this is Garfield County, which is kind of southern Utah and close to Arizona, as you can see here. So hopefully, he is prepared, and hopefully maybe they can find him. So my prayers with the family. Oh, if you have any information, that's what I meant to get to. Is let me move this over a little bit. If you have any tips, please call 801-682-5675. Okay, all right, let's get started. So Steve's kind of doing a members only live. Usually he goes about a half hour, 45 minutes. So I may have a few people over there watching his show, so that's completely fine. I'm sure they'll come back over once he's done. So we'll quickly do a recap of just the timeline, and then we'll get into the new stuff on today. And then I basically grabbed all the different body cam footage, interrogations, and I just broke down highlights from each of them, and just some things that I wanted to point out that because I've been just studying this case nonstop, and every time you go back and watch one of these videos, you always catch something that you missed the first time, and it's just amazing how much Murdoch. He's always telling different timelines, and that happens with with people. They kind of get the timelines wrong, but how much he's inconsistent about it is it's a little alarming. So let's just kind of look at the overall timeline for anybody that's not kind of familiar with the case. I think most of you guys are. And so really it comes down to June 7th, 2021, kind of later in the evening. We have two sides here. We got Alex's timeline and then the most likely scenario. And on the left, according to Alex, he said he was out there with his family. Before that, he went to work, and we'll kind of address that later on in the video. But after work, Paul came over first, his son, and then Maggie apparently came over later. And I think she got there sometime maybe before 7 or around 7 o'clock. Still haven't figured out exactly what time she got there, because Alex is never consistent with his timeline. So, but we know that they were out there kind of, doing some things because there's a video at 7:38 that Paul records. And we see Alex out there with his, khaki pants and the seafoam shirt, and he's trying to plant a tree. And that was taken at 7:38. Now, shortly after that, I think they go to eat. But they don't eat for very long. I mean, for looks like the timeline is they were eating for maybe 15 minutes. And then according to Alex, he takes a nap while Paul and Maggie go to the kennels. But of course, we would learn that that's not true, because at 8:48 or 8:49, or excuse me, 8:44, we have that Snapchat video where we have Paul checking on his friend's dog Cash, and we can hear Maggie in the background, and then also a third voice, which has been confirmed by at least 6 different people that it's Alex's voice. And anyways, so that's taken at 8:44, and that would literally be 4 to 5 minutes before the shootings happened. And he, according to Alex, and still to this day, he said he was never at the kennels after they ate dinner or whatever. He took a nap and he never went back to the kennels. So then the shootings happened most likely about 8:50, 8:49-ish, and then probably last till 8:53, so 4 to 5 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, not very long. And then Alex would leave at 9:06, and he'd be at his mother's in Almeida for about 20 minutes, and then he would come back at 10 o'clock, and then he supposedly discovered their bodies and then called 911 immediately. So that's just kind of the overall timeline, but there's been little things that I've been kind of picking up as we go along here, and so I'm going to kind of show you guys. We did that little timeline test of see how long it would take Alex to actually check the bodies, and we'll come to that first. Let's go in the order that they were shot. So let me find this video. Oh, where are you at? There's Maggie's, and there it is. Okay, so we'll start with Paul. Like I said, we're just going to recap for the first 10 minutes, and then we'll get into the new stuff today. And so Paul would read his last text message at 8:48, basically 8:49, and we'd assume out of the two, Paul was most likely shot first. It makes sense. I mean, you have Paul and Maggie. Obviously, you'd want to go for the bigger threat first, Paul, and who is known to have guns by him. So I would assume that Paul would be the first one to be shot. This is the feed room right here. And then to the left is a row of kennels, which is, I think there's like 12 sets of kennels, I think, or something like that. And most of them are full of dogs, and we actually kind of learned the dogs' names yesterday. And anyway, so he's in the feed room or storage room, and not sure what he's doing in there, but assume Alex, or the shooter, if you don't believe it's Alex, surprises him. Now it's such a weird angle, as you can see how Steve's holding the shotgun. He's holding it low. That's not how you'd properly want to hold a shotgun. Alex being 6'1", and Paul being approximately 5'7". It makes you wonder. There's like two scenarios that go through my head after studying this, and I've seen a lot of people mention this in the beginning. Was he maybe trying to make it look like a self-inflicted, I can't say that S word, but you guys know what I'm saying. Was he trying to make it look like that, where he shot his mother and then he shot himself? It's quite possible, and maybe with the angle there's either that, or he was just trying to make it look like the shooter was shorter. But either way, I think maybe he was trying to go for a higher shot, maybe like a headshot the first time, but didn't go high enough, and so it entered his chest, and that actually wasn't a fatal shot. So I think it's probably surprised Alex, and Paul kind of moved forward. And we know the second shot. Let me skip this forward here. And we'll get a good look at this window since we have that new body cam footage that was released yesterday. I took a little highlight from that, so we'll check that out as well. Someone asked me, is it possible that somebody could have shot from the window in? Now, considering that Paul was shot with a shotgun, if somebody were to shoot through the window into Paul, one, he would most likely have the wound in his back. I mean, I guess you could say he was turned around. But the reason we know that wouldn't be is because if you shot a shotgun close to the window, it would just tear out the whole window. You got to think when you shoot a shotgun, it's like an explosion close to the barrel. So that would have took out the whole window. So there's no way the shotgun shot came from the window. It'd have to be the reverse. Literally, it's just buckshots, little pellets that actually just came through the window there. And so Steve, from True Crime Web, he's former forensic, so he's used to looking at crime scenes, and he just kind of goes with what the shell casings and where the bodies are found, and this is kind of what uh, possible scenario he thinks may have happened. And with that first shot, with Paul not getting, wasn't incapacitated and coming forward, maybe it shocked Alex, and he could have tripped falling back because the second shot is at such a unique angle and sadly, it would be a very fatal injury. And so there's many reasons why we know there's that angle. Biggest thing is because of where there's brain matter that was kind of on the ceiling. We see in the door frame where Paul was kind of standing, there is kind of, what looks to be buckshot and different debris that came out at such an upward angle. So either the shooter was on his knees, crouching, or could have been on his back shooting. So that's kind of Paul. I hope I pronounced this right. So as we can see, here's some of the defects. There's another picture of the kind of the right side of the door frame. It's got a lot of blood and stuff, which I don't want to show. So you can clearly tell the door, he was standing in the door frame, and a lot of the stuff, kind of flew up towards this area here. So hopefully I say this right. Terrian, hey Chris, I reckon he held the guns at the hip. I agree, especially with the blackout AR, which we're going to show here in just a minute. So that's Paul, and thank you so much for the $2. And anyway, we have a full video if you want to see the whole thing on that. I just kind of want to recap everything. Well, yeah, it's a little trigger warning on that. So now Maggie will show kind of the reenactment, which I'm going to release this video here soon. I'm kind of touching it up. So with Paul now incapacitated, we have Maggie, and she could have been out playing with the dog, possibly, but either way, she was probably coming to see what was going on. Now, what we don't see in this photo that I have here is what was actually in this red overhang, and this is kind of in my my thumbnail. Is they actually have the ATV in the golf cart, which is kind of parked right here. And I think that's very interesting because we heard that they keep, like, especially like Paul, when they go out shooting, they would keep, whatever gun they were shooting with hogs or whatever, they'd keep it near their person or vehicle or the golf cart. And so I thought it was interesting that the golf cart is actually parked here, and we'll look at that here in a bit. But Steve, going off where the shell casings were at and using a 300 blackout to do test, figured out that Maggie was shot in at least 4 positions, and there's multiple reasons why we know this, because of where the shell casings are laying at, and as well as some where some of the bullets had hit. Yeah, the doctor, yeah, she was great. So I think this is perfect how Steve, because I thought maybe 2 to 3 positions, and she would have been more further up over here. But let me clear this real quick. And so, in my personal opinion, I think after he's shooting Paul and before as Maggie was coming over, I think he grabbed the 300 blackout that could have been in the golf cart. This is just completely speculation. But I think there's a good possibility that the 300 blackout was sitting in that golf cart, which would have been kind of where my mouse is moving. And so there was 2 shots immediately, and that would kick the... so with the 300 blackout, the shell casings get ejected to the right and to the back a little bit. They go out pretty far. I think Steve said about 6 to 7 feet. So where I'm circling is where the shell casings from the AR got ejected, and they even in the crime scene legend that they have, we see that they even markered because they saw what was a crater right here. So it's possible that there was 2 shots fired, and probably most likely hip shot. And either the first one went through her leg at an angle or her wrist. In my opinion, I think this might have been the thigh shot first. Then, for whatever reason, she was able to kind of get away for a little bit, come around the corner. Maybe, there could be multiple reasons. Maybe the AR jammed up. Um, who knows, whatever reason. But obviously, she was able to get around the corner. The second position, which would be the third shot, is which could have been in the wrist, as she was kind of like trying to run. But we know this bullet went through her body because it would actually go through her body, come out, and it would actually enter this doghouse, and the bullet would actually be found in the bedding. And so, and the reason why we know it had to enter through the body is because the bullet slowed down when it entered the doghouse. So if you were just to shoot the doghouse with a 300 blackout from that range, it would have most likely gone through both sides of the doghouse and would have been found somewhere on the other side. So this most likely entered her left wrist or thigh. That I think it could have been either or on that one. And then that would be, oops, back up real quick. That would make up for the shell casing that was found here. And now there's the last two positions, and there could have been a struggle. But there's one shot fired, and I think the shot, so let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. The third bullet to enter her would most likely be the shot that actually, not this one, I've got this a little bit fast forward. This is why I'm going to redo the video, is the one that went through her side right here. The kind of, they said like the liver shot. And as you can kind of see, it's kind of got slightly an upward trajectory as it enters and exits, which actually makes sense because this is the chicken coop right here. And as you can actually see, it's almost kind of got an upward trajectory right here. Now, it could have been a bullet that missed as well, so it could be one or the other. But 2 shots were fired. And then, of course, with a bullet hitting her liver would definitely cause her, as the coroner talked about, that would cause her to, probably go down on her knees and into what would be kind of like a praying position. And then we have the last 2 shots, which he would probably be standing on the other side of her here, and the bullet would kind of go under her chest and then into her head. So she would probably have been in the kneeling position, pray position right here. 1 shot fired. That would have traveled through. Of course, Steve could, had to be safe with how he shot the gun. He had to kind of shoot all the rounds into the ground. So it's not an exact replica, just because Steve had to be safe when reenacting everything. So that's it. And then the final, of course, shot would have been the back of the head shot. So there's Steve just kind of, let me move that over so you guys can see it. All the different positions. And so like I said, I'm going to kind of clean this up and do like a 3-4 minute video of Maggie's. And I'm going to kind of clean it up a little bit better and put that out. So, but amazing job by Steve for doing that. What if it's Paul's blackout Alex used to shoot Maggie? Yes, there's actually 2 blackouts that are missing, and that is one thing that we're going to talk about, because Alex, when asked about what guns he had, he didn't even tell him about the 3rd blackout, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So we'll definitely take a look at that. So Yeah, side shot is what dropped her. Yeah, the liver shot for sure. So sadly, that's kind of the what went down with Maggie, and just terrible to think about. Let me get caught up here. Let me know, D-Dez, Copper Horse. I saw Karen had to go. Hey, Jennifer, good to see you. Let me know how the chat is if I need to slow it down. So, but yeah, it's the 300 rifle that was used to shoot Maggie. And here is one of the. This is the bullet they actually found in the doghouse there that was recovered. Okay. So let's get to. So now we're kind of caught up with that. Let's do the timeline with Alex Murdaugh and, according to him, how long it would take. And then I'm going to jump into the breaking down the videos of the body cam footage that was released. Of course, we're not going to watch all of it. There's tons, hours of it. But I just broke out little highlights that I thought were interesting. But what's this is the little test that we ran using the data from the GMC, and of course going off what Alex had explained to the officer or the detective on, how he checked on, well, actually in the 911 call as well, but how he checked on Paul and then Maggie. And there's a few things that I discovered today that I thought was interesting. After the shootings and working backwards from the 911 call made at 10:06, just before the call, Alex said he had checked on Paul and Maggie. Before that, he said he had checked the house for a couple of minutes and even called Maggie's phone at 10:03, which all lines up. But after checking the house, Alex figured that they were at the kennels, so he drove. Oh, and that's a good picture of the hose. I need to save that and show it before and after. Actually, I'm going to clip that real quick. That is going to go perfect for what we're going to talk about, because yesterday we learned about that one guy that comes and cleans the dog kennels out, and he's kind of OCD about how he does it. And we notice during that night that hose is not how it looks right now. It's wrapped up a different way, like someone was in a rush, and we'll talk about more of that in a little bit. Figured that they were at the kennels, so he drove over to the kennels and saw both Paul and Maggie's bodies. So Alex parks at 10:05 and 55 seconds, then checks on Paul and Maggie, then calls 911 at 10:06 and 14 seconds. So this would give only Alex 19 seconds to exit a vehicle and check on both bodies, then call 911. So Steve from True Crime Web and I wanted to see just how long it would actually take if we positioned everything. And as you can see here, actually, as you can't see here, move this over. And I've got some new things I discovered with this, which I'm excited to talk about. So what we're looking at is a drone shot, I'm assuming, of the June the 8th, so the next day of the shootings. And this vehicle that you see, I know it's kind of not the best picture, but that is Alex's Suburban. We know this because of the trim on the top. It's got these little silver trims on it. And so we kind of get an idea of where he kind of like parks, because obviously they left where he parked his car when they showed up. And so I'm assuming this is probably where he parked to go and check on the bodies. Is close to how the crime scene was laid out, with the two bodies being approximately 32.5 feet apart, and according to Alex, said he parked facing the scene. So let's see how long it takes according to how Alex Murdoch described the events.
And I ran over to Maggie, and actually, I think I tried to turn Paul over first.
So I'm going to see there's already 8 seconds. Now, where Steve had parked his car, where this car's parked, this is actually closer than where Alex would have been parked. So we kind of already give him a handicap. Now, learning with the new body cam footage, we learned that when he rolled Paul over, he rolled Paul over on the other side, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But he didn't roll. So what Steve's doing here, he actually went on the other side, and I have an idea of why he did that. But anyway, so we already have 8 seconds gone by, and he only has 19 seconds to do this.
I tried to turn him over, and I don't know, I figured it out. His cell phone popped out of his pocket. I started to try to do something with it, thinking maybe, but then I put it back down really quickly. Then I went to my wife, and I could see.
As we can see, it took at least 37 seconds to check on the two bodies, according to how Alex explained it. But there's he would actually have to go back to the vehicle as well. And I've found out two things that I am almost 99% sure when he calls, he is in the vehicle. And I will show you why. I figured out two things now, watching back all this footage over and over. Even more stuff wrong with this scenario. Maggie and especially Paul were both lying in a pool of their own blood. If Alex were to kneel down to either of them and especially tried to roll one of them over, Alex would have most likely been certainly in contact with blood, and not only with his hands but most likely his clothing as well. If Alex immediately went to call, he would have transferred that blood to his phone or the pocket that his phone was in, and also the vehicle. But there was not a single drop of Paul or Maggie's blood on Alex or anything that was found at the scene. This is why it's probably that never really actually happened. But I'm going to give you a reason, two good reasons why I believe he had to get back into the car to do that. So now we're going to break down my video. And I just pinned at the top of the comments Steve's channel. If you're kind of new to my channel and you're seeing all these tests, they were performed by Steve from True Crime Web. Please go show him some love and subscribe to his channel. He's even got more stuff coming. We'll have here any day. We're doing sound test to see how, would you be able to hear a gunshot from 3.5 football fields away from, if Alex was taking a nap or whatever. So we got tons of stuff. And also we've got some tests for Brian Koberger. And then for those that are not big on Murdaugh case, we do have the Delphi case with Richard Allen going to court here soon. So we will be focusing on some other cases here soon as well. And then, of course, we're going to be going out in spring and working on cold cases. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Okay, so here's the 911 call. Now, I want you guys to listen real carefully. There's two things that give away that he is in the vehicle, in my opinion. The first one right away is the echo. And the echo is most likely because he's got his phone. So you've got the mic on your phone trying to picking up his voice. But he's also got in his SUV his not the infotainment, the OnStar, the OnStar Bluetooth system, which has got a receiver on it. So you've got two things picking up his voice. And when you have that going on, you get kind of an echo. So as you notice, when he first talks, and it's for about the first 20 seconds, you'll hear this kind of echo.
This is Alex Murdoch at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police to answer immediately. My wife and child just shot badly.
That's how there's this kind of an echo to it. Now there's also another dead giveaway of why I think he's in the vehicle and has the door shut. And I'll tell you that here in just a second.
Okay, you said 4147 Moselle Road in Allison?
sir.
You said 4147 Moselle Road in Arlington?
Yes, sir. 4147 Moselle Road.
Stay on the line with me, okay? Yes, sir. Stay on the line with me, okay? Okay.
Calling the County Communications.
Carlton, I have an Alex Murdoch on the line, caller from 4147 Moselle Road. He's advising that his wife and child was shot.
Okay, and sir, give me the address again.
It's 4147 Moselle Road. I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay.
Okay, see now I think he just got out of the vehicle. Now listen, there's a dead giveaway to how I think he just got out of the vehicle.
Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
Okay, well one you can tell there's no more echo, but here you're going to hear something in the background.
Are they in a vehicle?
No, ma'am. They're on the ground out at my kennels.
Okay, right there.
Okay, and did you...
Okay, you can hear the dogs barking. And those dogs, when the responders are there, those dogs are barking nonstop. They're probably hungry. We heard that when the guy got there in the morning, he fed them and they those poor dogs. But you can actually hear the dogs barking throughout the rest of this 911 call.
See anyone? Okay, is he breathing at all?
No. Nobody.
Is she... Okay, do you see anything? Do you see anyone in the area?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm going to skip it forward. There's a couple of spots you can really hear the dogs.
What is your team? Is he moving at all, your son? I know you said that she was shot, but what about your son?
Nobody. They're not. Neither one of them's moving.
What is your telephone number?
Yeah, let me skip it to the end here.
Okay. I don't want you to touch them at all, okay? I don't know if you've already touched them, but I don't want you to touch them just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
I already touched them trying to get to see if they were breathing.
Right there. You can hear them.
Okay. Well, I just don't want you to move anything just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
Scene is secure at a Whiskey Fox whiskey.
And so here's the first responders in here. They're already barking. So here you can tell that he's most likely in the car. So that means it would have took him over at least, unless he was, even if he was the Flash, it would have took him at least 35, 40 seconds to check both bodies, according to his statement. And then he would have to get back into the car and call 911. And so with that echo and minus the dogs, and then the second that echo goes away, it's kind of hard in the beginning, but if you got headphones on, you'll hear the dogs barking. So clearly, and I think he kind of comes in and out of the car because there's a second time I think the echoes come back for a minute. And then they go away again, so I think that's him kind of coming in and out. So that, in my opinion, that's just kind of proof that just his story doesn't add up. So now we move to some of the new body cam footage that was released. And there's just a few things I want to point, quite a few things, but yeah. Oh my gosh. Are you reading my mind? Is it, I hope I say this right. Terrian. Yeah, I'm going to play that here in just a minute, but thank you so much for the $2. Hey, Lynn, good to see you. Alex was putting Bubba in his cage. Yeah, because all the dogs, that's what I noticed, all the dogs were in the cage.
Mike, both gunshot wounds to the head.
Sir, I want to let you know because of the scene, I did go get a gun and bring it down here.
It's in your vehicle? Do you have any guns on you at all?
No, sir. It's leaning up against the side of my car.
Okay. You're fine, man. You're fine. Turn around for me.
I don't have any guns.
Okay. Yes, sir. I see that. Okay. This is your wife and son?
And son.
Okay.
It's bad. It's bad. Check the pulses.
Yes, sir. This is the firearm you brought from inside the house?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I went and this is a long story. My son was in a boat wreck a few months back, He's been getting threats. Most of it's been benign stuff we didn't take serious.
Okay.
You know, he's been getting like punched. I know that's somebody. I know that's what it is.
Okay. When did you get home? Right when you called, or did you go to the house first? Where is the house?
I came to the house first. My mom has late stages Alzheimer's, and my dad is in the hospital.
Okay.
I left. I don't know what time. I can go back on my phone and tell you the exact times. Did you?
Okay, so keep that in mind. He says, I'll go back and check on my phone and give you the times. Because, yes, our phones are the perfect, nowadays we can give the best timeline because, especially if you're somebody that... Oops. Oh, gosh, I clicked on a video. Be quiet. Sorry. But that's something that, it's going to be a huge thing that I want to bring up when he's getting interrogated.
You check.
Okay. Did I check what?
Did you check them?
We got medical guys that are that's what they're gonna do. Okay.
What are they doing? Can they hurry?
They are. Yes, sir. That gentleman that was out.
I mean, he knows he's seen their bodies. You have one that technically he's not decapitated, his son, but it's more or less. I mean, it's more or less decapitated. He's just still I don't know. It's just terrible. But yeah, he is. I'm trying to get there. He is a terrible actor for sure.
Oh, you're already. He's one of the battalion chiefs. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip this forward a little bit. I've got little spots that I want to. So there's one where I'm looking into, and I'm gonna have Steve. To
the house, and they weren't home, which was.
There's that shotgun they found, and this particular shotgun may actually be the murder weapon. They couldn't exclude it or rule it out. So this shotgun could have been the murder weapon, at least for Paul.
It was odd. I tried to call.
Okay.
And then I knew they had been down here before I left to go to my mom's.
Okay.
And so that is loaded.
Okay.
You might want to unload it. But I mean.
So as we can see, there's some tracks. Oops, my head's in the way here. I do light this up a little bit. We see some tracks here. That kind of goes the other way. But the other tracks he's going to mention here in just a minute. Something a little interesting.
Is this the only firearm with you? This is the only one, or is there any more in the truck?
I believe that's it.
You think that's the only one? Okay.
I'm 99%.
Do you normally have any other firearms in your vehicle?
I don't, but occasionally there's a pistol in there.
Okay. Just wait right here for me for a second, okay?
And yeah, Tyrion, we are going to look at the vehicle. I slow it down and everything so we can take a good look inside his vehicle. But yeah, that's the first thing I noticed too, is what looks like to be a beach towel. It's so weird. Wish it could be more. Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much, Jill. And I'm just kind of reading the chat. You guys are like, he changed his voice. Make sure they're unalive, not alive. Yeah, not a good actor. I agree. So this is something that I wanted to point out is that we got the ATV in the. I'm assuming this is a golf cart here. And this is where something that this is kind of where position one. So if you guys have been here, Paul obviously is sitting to the right of us. Let me move this over a little bit. So we have Paul who's sitting right here, sadly. And we know position one that when Maggie comes around the corner, it's close to this post here. And almost lines up with just a possible scenario that after the shooter shoots Paul, would come over and, according to even Alex himself, he says, that Paul would, keep his guns near him and they would, keep him on the golf cart, and they go drive around. So I think that blackout was most likely could have been in this golf cart here.
When was the last time you were here with them or talked to them or anything like that?
Side by side.
It was earlier
Yeah.
tonight. I don't know the exact time, but
Okay.
I left. I was probably gone an hour and a half from my mom's, and I saw them.
That's another thing is how many times he says so many different times when it comes to how long he's gone. He says 45 minutes, hour and a half, and then I think he then finally says 20 minutes, I believe. But yeah, that's another thing we're going to bring up as well.
About 45 minutes before that.
Okay.
I rode around with Paul for 2 hours this afternoon in the pickup truck.
That's your son, Paul? Okay.
Somebody going to check him?
Yes, sir. They've already checked him.
They did check him?
Yes, sir.
It's official that they're dead?
Yes, sir. That's what it looks like.
I'm sorry.
No. You're fine.
I'm very sorry.
So why is he sorry? This is the other thing is it's like, why is he apologizing right now?
Gotta call her parents.
What's her name?
Her name is Maggie Murdoch.
Okay, we're going to skip this forward a little bit and look at in his vehicle. Thank you so much, MLR. I love that face tattoo. That's so cool. Thank you so much for the super sticker. You are so awesome. So let's look at his... I'm going to skip this forward just a little bit. They give some dates here.
653. Where's it at? I'm in town.
Like I said, this is not the whole video. This is just some highlights that I took from multiple videos that were released. Most of them are from yesterday.
Actually tried to be the old 8 because he's going to be the only one that's got access.
What's Paul's birthday?
Copy.
April 14th.
Right.
1999, sir.
Put it up as wide as you can. That's fine. You said 99?
Okay, so we'll go a little bit forward here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to turn down the volume because I put it in slow motion for a second. So as you can see, here's some tracks that are interesting, and that's something I'm going to be doing another video on. But there's at least, he claims that one of them, I think one of them is his, but I think there's 2 tracks that he says are not his. And I'm still trying to figure out if they're more vehicle width or they're more ATV width. So we can see there's a pair of tracks kind of going this way, and then another pair going this way here. As we can see, it's starting to rain as well. I also did some just kind of looking into the rain. It does kind of rain off and on that night, but not a lot. But it did rain, which is it's a shame because it did kind of cover up probably some of the tracks because just outside of the kennels is dirt, and wherever there was a scuffle with probably the shooter / Alec and Maggie. Probably a lot of that scuffle would have been covered up. And then there's one more pair of tracks here that he's looking at, as you can kind of see right there. Those look more like a vehicle. Those look pretty wide, but those other 2, maybe one of those sets could be ATVs. Anyway, I just want to point that out. Okay, so here's a look inside his vehicle here. Let me grab this while it's going here. Mark K, thank you so much. What are your thoughts to what happened that night? I think overall just the motive was there. I think, with him going to work, that of course we learned... I'm going to pause it real quick. We learned that, when he got to work, that he was confronted by his bookkeeper, and they found out he's been stealing, tons of money from, his partners and stuff. And then of course they had the Paul, his son Paul, who was going to be going to trial. He had been on probation, and they had some trial coming up, and of course that was going to be a lot of money. As a matter of fact, one of the things, as you notice, his son has the same defense attorney as, Alex, and they believed, and people are wondering how he could have afforded it. Well, since his son never got to finish the trial, the second half of whatever was going to go down with his son in the boating accident, that he still, because I guess he probably paid him up front. So that's kind of how he was able to afford, such a great attorney like Harpulian, is that he never fully got his money's worth with his son's case. So that's kind of something. But anyway, getting off track. But I think that was the catalyst, and he snapped. And then, of course, he's with the opiate addiction. I mean, I've never really suffered from addiction like that, so I can't really relate, but maybe it's a combination of everything. But I definitely think he's the one that did it. And being a lawyer, he was able to cover it up pretty good. So, and thank you so much, Judy, for the super sticker. So yeah, here's a beach towel. No, I've kind of freeze framed it and looked. We'll go back one more time. Let me know if you see anything in the chat. The beach towel sticks out to me. It's a little weird. Was he trying to rub, any kind of DNA or fingerprints off whatever, And this almost looks like something. I can't even think of it. But yeah, the beach towel is just weird. And we find out that there's towels like all over the house. One in the closet that's damp. So I don't know what's going on with the towels. But there was definitely towels in the house kind of scattered. The nanny, or the housekeeper I should say, said that there were some odd things that she normally doesn't see, like Maggie's clothing kind of, or her pajamas put out in an odd way. Perel, that's what I was trying to think of. So I wonder if that's Perel right there. Let me go back to that. Let me know what you guys think. I couldn't think of it. Almost looks like a big container of Perel. So anyways, there's just kind of a slow motion of his vehicle. I wish we could have seen in the back there, but he doesn't open the door. Okay, moving along. Let me get caught up in chat. Hand sanitizer. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm human. Yeah, hand sanitizer. That's what I was thinking. I was trying to think of the name. Okay, so we're gonna kind of move forward. We're gonna be Christine66. I bet he hosed off the rain jacket, drove back to the house, brought towel back out to dry sea. Ooh, yeah, I'm sure there's, yeah. Yeah, no kidding, Mary. How many drink cups? Yeah. Well, he chews tobacco. I'm assuming he's always got to have something cleaning out his mouth, I guess. All right, so we'll go ahead and skip forward here. Let me turn this back up. We're just going to kind of take a look at the scene as they go through the middle, because if you've been here, we kind of showed what went down with Maggie, and it's just a shame that it's raining, and these guys have been kind of walking through this part right here, which could have maybe showed a sign of a struggle, but at the same time, I think there's a good possibility that Alex used that hose to maybe get rid of some of the, obviously clean himself off and do some other things that to kind of clean up the evidence here. But this is where they would find a shell casing, a couple of them. I think that crater, that's why I wanted to slow this down, is try to see where that crater was, which should have been just a couple steps back by that first beam here. Sorry, I went back a little too much. That crater should be somewhere about right here. I think it's kind of tough to tell because we got these lights kind of. Oh, that looks like the crater right there. There's a couple of spots actually. Anyway, maybe I'll go back and look at that and use this video to reference it. But as we can see, the kennels to the right, there's going to be, according to the guy that cleans out the kennels, there's actually extra amounts of little puddles of water. And then the way the hose was wrapped up is not how he would wrap it up. And so that's what we're going to kind of get into in a little bit as well. I don't know, maybe we can get a better look at the... Oh yeah, this is why I had so much. It's so, as we can see, there's quite a bit of water right here. You can even see a dog. Now the defense says that, well, okay, it was raining, so that would kind of make up for the puddles, but I mean, it does have, an overhang, that kind of goes at least to the cement. I mean, I get it if the rain's kind of coming in at an angle, but I know that seems like a lot of water. And so we can see it's all wet right here. Is that Bubba? Let's see. Did I write down the order of the dogs' names? Dolly. I think I'd have to double check. I'm not 100% on that. Okay, there's something here. Okay, yeah, we can really get a good look at the water, which is kind of where this guy's standing here. And this is where the defense kind of goes after this guy for kind of stepping on the scene, or is it this guy, one of them? But we can clearly see a lot of water. Don't worry, there's nothing graphic we'll see here. But you can clearly tell there's quite a bit of water, but yet it's dry over more towards where the hose is at. So you would think, well, if it's the rain, it would be more uniform. Bubba closest to the feed shed, that's right. Maggie, empty space, then Grady.
Yes. You need in and out times or just times arrived? Like if they exit multiple.
Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit more here. So we saw the wet spot. Here's just kind of a look at the back window here. And kind of see where the exit shots were from the buckshot. And as you can see, now even looking at it with the bird cage or whatever this cage is, it's shooting from the window in. Because I even think Harpoolian kind of made that suggestion as well, which there's just no way. I mean, if you're shooting a shotgun through that way, it would tear that window out. And so shooting an AR maybe would put a little hole in, but clearly this is an exit wound from the other side. Yeah, in today's trial, it was interesting. Defense was
down and
okay.
With the dealing with the hose.
Pause that here, and this is we're going to talk about the hose, which I think is very interesting. So this guy here, I forget his name. Is it CB Rowe? Is that his name? I can't remember. Anyway, he's the kennel guy. He comes 2 times a day, once in the morning, and then once in the mid-afternoon. And he was there on the 7th. And he cleans out the kennels 2 times a day. He'll clean out the kennels, and feed the dogs. And so, of course, he had been there on June 7th, there in the morning and in the mid-afternoon. He's kind of OCD and likes to put the hose back up in a certain way. And so they're going to show him some crime scene evidence.
Tell us a little bit about what that was about.
The particular way of me putting the hose away, or
right.
Normally after I got through washing, I would stretch the hose straight out.
Del Rogers, okay.
Back towards the shed room right there, the dog feed room.
All right, and we now have.
Okay, so as we can see, and let's see, do I still have it? I do. Oh, no, I don't. Did I not save it? That's okay. I can pull it up here. Let's see. There it is. It would be... This is a good one here. So as we can see how he wraps his up. Let's see. Let's do... Well, let's go this way. This is so far left. I'm not blocking it. So we can see how he wraps his up. It's very organized. And that's this Dell guy here. And as we can see with the evidence, that it's clearly not wrapped up the same way as it normally would. And I know it's a little bit zoomed out, but he's got some other pictures as well. And clearly the hose is... someone else has used the hose. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Sorry.
Have the Elmo up. We're looking at Exhibit 505, and the feed room, I believe, is what you referred to. Is that the structure on the far right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then where is in this picture? Where is the hose you're talking about located?
It's back towards the left-hand side, back towards the forest end.
Is that yellow?
That's that yellowish green-looking hose.
Yep.
All right, go ahead and explain to us what you would typically do after rinsing off and putting the hose away.
I would stretch the hose out back towards the feed room. I would cut the valve off at the top, which is right up above as the hose come in. Then I would walk back down and cut the valve on at the end of the hose. That way it would release the pressure, and then I would roll it up slowly until I had it uniform.
And I've got some stuff that I just discovered before the show, and I cannot wait to show you guys. It'll be kind of towards the end. We're about halfway into it here.
Were you pretty particular about how you wound that hose?
Yes.
And why would you do it that way? And did you do it that way every time?
Every time.
And why would you do it so particularly?
Because if you notice
it's
how
possible
the
for
hose
sure.
right now is kinked up, it would start making the hose, when if you didn't do it right, eventually would it keep kinking, it would start making it where it didn't want to, and it would cause the hose to start having little splits in it.
The picture that you're and on for our reference on this diagram, that green circle, that represents what?
The hose. garden hose.
Excuse me.
All right, I'm going to show you a few more pictures. If you would just describe what we're seeing. Are you familiar with that angle?
Yes.
All right, where are we looking at at this angle? Where are we looking at?
So there's another crime scene photo. We can kind of see some little puddles here, and he says some of those seem okay, but he says usually there's certain spots. Obviously, that would mean there's probably this concrete isn't completely level, and doesn't have a proper runoff, and so there's probably little dips in the concrete where you're going to have that natural pooling of water. But he noticed that there's certain areas which are more focused towards the feed room, which would most likely mean that somebody was using that hose and using it quite a bit. And yes, it's definitely possible that Paul and Maggie, or probably Paul because he was inside there, could have been using it, although he was filming at that time. But we don't know all the scenarios. But in my opinion, would not be surprised if Alex used that hose to clean some evidence off in some form.
You looking straight down the kennel where you got the hose and the walkway going down in front of the kennels.
And on this picture, where would the feed room be located?
At the very end on the right hand of this picture.
Okay. When you, in the 4 years you were washing out the kennels, did water collect or pool in certain areas?
It did.
All right. Can you identify in this picture those areas?
Right under the hose, and right there, which should have been Armadillo's pen. That should have right there, and then right below it should have been collective.
So yeah, basically he's saying it would collect more over here, but as we can see, this is where we're getting the pooling. So a little off. Let me get these so I get that. Thank you so much, Grant Lewis Williams. I think Paul sprayed the water prior to the murders. It's definitely possible for sure. Granny Rice, I love that name. Thank you so much for the $5. And I slowed down the chat a little bit because it seems to be picking up. Thank you all so much for being here and taking the time to watch the show. We're about halfway into it. I've got a little bit more on this, and then we're going to jump over to a few different highlights of Alex that they released where he was getting interrogated. And there's just some things that I kind of discovered that I wanted to go over.
And maybe one more little spot right down there towards the end of the post right there, but that'd be about it.
For the record, I'd like to say for the record, this is stage 504. Moving on to stage 502, a very similar angle. Dale, do you see those pools of...
Okay, so yeah, Pete Savage says Snapchat said everything I needed to know, but this is the thing, as thinking about it as a juror, they've got to, prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt. And so far, viewing it as watching it as like a juror, I don't know if they've proved beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a shame because, clearly I think, with all the research we have, I clearly think he's guilty as, all hell, but, will they be able to prove it enough to the jurors? That's going to be a tough hill.
Come on, video.
Let's just turn this down a little bit. So it just so happens they were going through his garbage, and
This is what's in the pump.
this is one of. So there's two different shells that were shot into Paul. Shoot, I'm going a little too much. This would be one of the shells that was shot into Paul. So I mean that clearly doesn't look good to have the same kind of ammunition.
Another box.
timeline with all the evidence of, through the phones, phone records, GPS records, everything that they have. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and skip this forward here.
But, I think I was dragging.
Okay. So now here's some little highlights from the interrogation that I want to point out, because this is where there's just some inconsistencies. Grant Lewis says, I think Paul put the water down because he put the hose away sloppy. It's possible. It could have been him. It's definitely possible. Oh, that's what I was thinking, Steve. He says, I believe the rinse-off is due to the offender seeing an identified footprint on the concrete. And, yeah, like blood. So if somebody stepped in the blood, and actually, I'm almost guaranteed someone did that. And that's actually interesting you mentioned that, because there's something in one of these videos that we're going to talk, he's going to talk about here. And it's the first time hearing it. And I was blown away with what he said. So can't wait to show you guys. So this interrogation video was presented to us yesterday. This is 3 days after the shootings.
A little bit from the weekend, but I went to work. I usually mess around on my farm, and then I go to work. I was at work.
Were you at the office in Hampton? Or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So I was at my office in Hampton. I was just at my office doing
legal work.
Yes, sir. I'm sure I can go back and probably recreate some specifics if you need me to, but I can't sit here and recall on the top of my head exactly what I was working on. I know one thing I was working on was we had some big motions coming up in a Dominion Energy case. I was getting ready for those.
Okay, I'm going to skip this for just a little bit. So that he's trying to get a timeline from him, and this is one reason why I want to play this, is because there is one big thing that you never hear from Alex in these interrogations, is him giving a time. At any point, he does not give a time. Like, oh, well, I got home at 5 or 5 or 6. It's never, he's got a phone that tells him, what time he's calling his wife, his son. He could easily just pull that out and say, oh, okay, I talked to him or texted him here, so I must have got home, around this time. So I got to play this because it's crazy.
And I was getting ready for some motions. I'm a defendant in a civil case involving my son. I told you about the boat wreck.
Yes, sir.
And there's part of the motive right there. He's part of a defendant in the boat case, which is involved with his son, which is now gone now.
And there were some motions coming up in that on Thursday, and I was mostly just getting ready for those things, and then other junk.
What time did you leave the house to go to the office?
I'm not sure.
Who all was at the house when you left?
To go to my office that morning?
Or when you got up, who was at the house?
I'm sure my wife was. And I can't remember if Blanca had made it out there yet or not.
And who was Blanca?
Blanca is our housekeeper.
Okay.
And she comes different. She doesn't have set hours, but she comes most days. She'll be able to tell you if I was there when she left or not. Okay. I can't remember.
And so you went to the office. You did some motions. What time did you leave the office?
I left a little bit earlier than normal because my son Paul was coming home.
Okay.
Because he had not been with us during the weekend, and he was coming home. We were going to we were going to replant some sunflowers the next day.
Okay.
And so he was calibrating, doing and getting everything ready. So he got home a little early. I left a little early, so he and I could knock around, and we knocked around for just doing things we like to do out there, you know.
So this whole time, this poor guy is trying to, well, I should say poor guy, because I don't feel bad for this guy. I feel like he should have pressured him a little bit more. But he's basically asking, all right, what'd you do that day? Give me a timeline. And not at one point, he's been talking for, 2 minutes now, probably more than that. I think I've edited it down. He has not given, one time at all. He's just kind of jibber-jabbering.
We're riding around looking at food plots, looking for hogs, a little bit of target shooting, just bullshit.
Yeah. You said Paul wasn't with you over the weekend. Where does he live with you at the house on Moselle?
Well, I mean, that's his home, but
Yeah.
he has an apartment in Columbia.
Okay.
And he goes to Charleston a lot of weekends with his buddies.
Okay.
And he had been in Charleston for the weekend.
Okay.
And then Paul works for my brother John. This out here, you met John.
Yes, sir.
So Paul works for him. So Paul decided to he went to spend the night with my brother, his Uncle John. They were very, very close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sunday night.
Okay.
And then he worked for John Marvin, and he came home Monday afternoon.
Okay.
So far we have no idea what is going on that day. I mean, just little bits in here, but then he kind of sidetracks in any way. There's a little bit more to this, and then there's a question that he gets asked about how he handles Paul and stuff, and I found it really interesting. It's something that we'll dive into in about 5-10 minutes here real soon. Thank you so much, Pammy, for the $20. You are so awesome. Okay, let me know. We got 1,400 in chat. Let me know, mods, how the chat speed is going.
About roughly what time in the afternoon?
I would think it'd be somewhere in the 5 o'clock range. A little bit. It was broad daylight when we were. It wasn't.
First time he has mentioned a time.
Dusk, dark, or late.
Okay.
And we rode. We just rode around. We rode around our dove field, looking at how the corn was doing. He had.
So according, so let's go back to that. So he said 5 o'clock. They go back in this interview that they had today that they were playing in court. They found out that he actually didn't clock out until 5:30 or something like that. So that already is one of the many inconsistencies. So that was not 5 o'clock.
He and I had planted corn in the dove field, and he planted the corn in the duck pond, and he was, showing me how much better his corn was doing than mine was. And we rode around the duck pond. I mean, we just, we rode the property.
Yes, sir.
We rode the property. Then, we rode around so much. We just rode.
Okay.
Probably.
We just rode. We rode around. We rode. And that is, just nothing. A bunch of nothing. For somebody that wants to catch, their son and wife's shooter, this guy, this is where it's just speechless.
It was a good little while. It was more than 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
Okay.
And, was it 2 hours? I don't know. I'd say it was more than an hour, probably.
Really wasn't keeping track of time.
And it wasn't, it was a good little while. It was more than 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Okay. And, was it 2 hours? I don't know. I'd say it was more than an hour.
This is classic OJ right here. If anybody's followed the OJ case, this is almost exactly what OJ said when they did the interview, which was, shame on the detectives. I'm sure Steve probably can agree with me, but the detectives that interviewed OJ, they just let him slide by. But if you hear the audio, he says the almost same thing verbatim. It could have been 20 minutes, 5 hours, 20 minutes, it's all the same. Just doing the little thing that I do. It is. It's literally. I almost want to go after this live show and pull up that, and I guarantee it's almost verbatim. It's scary.
Or probably.
Really wasn't keeping track of time.
And it wasn't, it wasn't getting dark. Mama wasn't home yet. She had gone to a doctor's appointment. So,
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, target practice, what y'all shooting?
Just a little bottle.
So after y'all got finished riding around, try to take me through the rest of the evening.
So this guy that's sitting, this detective, who actually got kind of reamed on the defense today. But anyway, he's probably the only time he's gotten so far out of this 5-6 minutes, or somewhere around in there, is 5 o'clock. That's the only time mentioned so far, is I believe at 5 o'clock, and that was already a lie because he was there until at least 5:30 at work.
All right. At some point we were all back at the house together. Maggie had gotten home, and we sat down, we ate supper, which we usually eat supper together. The one thing I remember, I don't know how much detail y'all want, so if I start talking about something that you don't need, just tell me and I'll move to something else.
The more detail, the better, sir.
So Paul has been having high blood pressure, and
what does Paul's high blood pressure have to find with his shooter? I'm sorry, I'm trying not to use the red rum because YouTube is being really picky. Thank you so much, Order in the Court. Defense says today, new GMC evidence. Yeah, I think they're going to come tomorrow or Friday. I think you said Friday. Shows he drove to Kennel one time when coming home from Mom's. He said he drove to the house. Yes, that's right. To get a gun, too. That's twice. Yep. Yeah, and he said when he came back, he went through the concrete, or the, what do you call it, the brick, which is where the gate is. He's saying he came in through the gate. So, yeah, I'm curious to see which way he actually took. Really curious.
His mama was worried sick about it. So we were actually, this was a direct thing, getting him, he doesn't like to go to doctors, making him go get his blood pressure checked. His feet had swollen up recently.
Wow.
So, that was a big, huge deal.
Okay.
We hung around the house for a little while. I know that Maggie went to the kennels. I don't know exactly where Paul went, but he left the house too.
Okay. How did Maggie get down to the kennels?
I don't know exactly, but on normal occasions she would drive a buggy, drive a four-wheeler, or very common for her to walk.
Okay. How about Paul?
Paul wasn't much of a walker, but he would use all of the others.
Okay.
But it could be anyway,
Okay.
Okay, so there's 3 more things in this video, and the final one is the one that where he talks about rolling Paul over, and I discovered something, and I'm excited to show you guys because I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. So it's coming up here, and so we got probably another 10, maybe 5 minutes of this, and then I've got a couple of other little snippets. This is probably the longest video, but I was just catching him, because it's the first time watching it earlier today, and there's just so much nonsense in this video.
I don't know exactly. I wish I could help.
Oh, shoot. I meant to get this real quick. Thomas, wasn't the hose down in a tangle in a corner of the Snapchat video? Ooh, we'll take a look at it. Who rolled it up prior to the shooting? Keep up the good work, Chris. Thank you so much. And, of course, shout out to Steve, who's been doing half the, a lot of the legwork on these experiments. But, yeah, we'll take a look at it after. Thank you so much, buddy.
Help you with that.
So they left and went down to the kennels.
Well, Maggie went to go to the kennels.
Okay. Paul left.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, Paul left.
Okay.
Because of,
Gotcha.
what happened. I'm assuming Paul went to the kennels.
Okay. And what did you do once Maggie and Paul left?
I stayed in the house.
Okay.
And I was watching TV, looking at my phone, and I actually fell asleep on the couch.
Okay.
This is where I wish this guy would ask, okay, what were you watching? What was on? What was it about?
And what time did you?
I don't know
wake up?
exactly what time I woke up, but when y'all get my phone, I think one of the first things I did when I got up was call Maggie because I was going to my mom's. And I know I texted her because I checked my phone. And what time did we say the text was, Jim? It's like 9:06.
I didn't see it. Yeah, I got it written down from the other night.
I showed you the other night, didn't I?
Yes, sir. I got this.
So, I texted her. So I called her just before that. And, I mean, she didn't answer at that point. And I left to go to my mom's.
And so we learned, obviously, with the sister of Maggie, one of the whole reasons, part of the reason she came over, because Maggie likes to, she has another house. She lives, the beach house, and she likes it there. She usually kind of stays there. And anyway, he had called her because they were going to, she was going to come over and they were going to go see his father, Mr. Randolph, because he was not doing too well. And basically the whole reason she was coming over was they were going to go see him. So this makes no sense that, the whole reason he brings Maggie over that day and she's not even going and he doesn't care.
Okay.
Y'all just have to look. I'm not sure if I called Paul.
Well, and that's why we're getting the phone so we can nail down the times and everything.
So I left, I drove. I'm gonna tell y'all this, even though I think it's kind of crazy.
Okay, this is huge. All right, this is, just listen to this. This is the craziest thing. This is another OJ moment.
I was certain that I heard them pull up. I mean, I was positive that I heard, and people don't just come out there. We don't get like passed through. I was certain that I heard them pull up, but they didn't.
Okay. Well, if you heard something pull up, what did it sound like?
I can't tell you what it sounded like. I just know that I thought that my wife had pulled up, or that Paul had pulled up.
Would it have been the buggy that she normally drives, or would it be a car?
No. I had the impression that a car pulled up.
Okay.
And
had you woken up by that time, but hadn't left for your mom's?
Yep.
Okay.
But it wasn't much time in between there because I left pretty damn close. It wasn't much time between me waking up and me leaving the house.
Okay.
There's more.
And when I went outside, there's a wild cat that lives around that house. Okay. I'm pretty sure it was the cat.
I can't. Oh my God! I can't do it. I'm pretty sure it was the cat. I heard a voice. I heard them arrive, but it wasn't them. But I heard them, but it wasn't them. I'm pretty sure it was a car. It wasn't them. I went outside and it's this wild cat. I mean, what in the heck? That
ran from my car, but I never had the impression it was a person, but there was something.
Okay.
But I really don't think, I'm just throwing that out there because it was in my mind.
Yeah, nope.
And this guy's probably like, well, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? I mean, I want to get it. I'm like, if I thought I heard a vehicle, I'm not sure, but it might have been. And leave it at that. That sounds convincing. But the way he just keeps kind of going, well, it might be, but it wasn't. But I thought I heard them, but it wasn't them. And then now it's some cat that's running through the... how does a cat sound like a vehicle pulling up? Like, I know some people are like, I missed this before. I know. When I heard this, this got released yesterday, so for the first time. So it hasn't been out for very long. But when I heard this, I'm like, what in the... This guy... So far, the whole time, this guy is trying to get a timeline of that day so he can help find the shooters. And all we've got is 5 o'clock, which is not right. And that's it.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
I left. I drove to I drove to my mom's. I checked on my mom.
She lives right out here, correct?
She lives at Alameda.
Okay.
Checked on my mom. Talked with Shelly for a few minutes. You know.
Shelly is
the caregiver.
Okay.
And you know, I know that I called some people on the way there. I know I returned a call from my brother John. I know that I called Chris Wilson.
It's a cutie.
I know that I talked to Buster.
Okay, all right, let's skip it forward here. Yeah, like I said, I had to show you guys that. Okay, all right, here's the next highlight. We're getting close to the rolling Paul over because I discovered something.
Okay. Is that where he lives, or?
No, he lives in Columbia, but he just started a new job. He's going back to law school in January.
Okay.
So he's working a little part-time job with Wild Wings.
Okay.
Through January.
Gotcha.
You know, just kind of killing time. And he was in, his girlfriend lives in Rock Hill. She's studying for the, I left my mom's and I went back home. I got to the house. I went inside. Nobody was there. I got in the car. I went back to the kennels and, you know.
And when you went back to the kennels, besides Maggie and Paul, did you see anybody, any cars?
I didn't see anything right then, no, sir.
Take your time.
You know, I saw Maggie and I saw Paul laying down. I knew, you know, I didn't know.
Okay, it's coming up. This is the part that I'm talking about. Yeah, big pot. I know, Steve. Yeah, Sasquatch. Okay, this is the part that, this is the first time hearing this. This was very interesting. Very interesting. You know, oops, sorry.
I knew it was bad. I went over there and, you know, I saw it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I called 911.
Okay.
Okay, look how he looks over. Now I'm sure I know a lot of you that watched been watching this. I know there's big fans of the, I forget the channel name. Is it Behavior Panel with the four guys? You know, that the body language analysis people who are amazing. They all each have their own little, you know, certain areas of expertise, and I've only seen him do the first video where he's sitting in the car that, you know, on the June the 8th, which is early in the morning, so just like 4 or 5 hours since the shootings. And I've seen them tear like Casey Anthony apart and a few others, but they tear Alex apart. There's so much to that video of just, you know, in behavior analysis of deception and stuff. Like I said, they tear him apart. If you haven't seen it, and you're interested in that kind of stuff, go check it out. I think it's like an hour and a half. He does, this is one of the things he does, is he looks over, after he's telling certain things. He does it a lot, and that's something that they pointed out. And so I wanted to kind of, because as you kind of notice, this is kind of the most important part of the timeline is, you know, right before and after the shootings. And, you know, those would probably be the most important details. And he just gives a basic description, and then he kind of looks over to see if, you know, this satisfies the detective.
You know, I knew it was bad. I went over there and, you know, I saw it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I called 911.
Okay.
Whatever did it.
And what made you decide to go back to the house and get a gun?
I just think the whole scene had me freaked out.
Okay. Did you take your car back up there, or did you run up there?
No, I drove.
Okay. And of course, the shotgun that we have is the one you brought back.
They were asking me earlier. I'm not sure which one it was.
Jim, it was a 12 gauge.
Okay, so there's two things that are coming up. So we're almost coming up to the end. The finale, part of the finale, is this thing about Paul that I discovered that's coming up. There's one more thing before that. I thought that was coming up next. My apologies, but there's just so much to this video. But he tells them that he's going to get them because they've got so many weapons, and so they're trying to figure out, what weapons they have and what weapons may be missing, so they can, figure out what, because obviously they know what he was shot, with what Paul and Maggie were shot with, so they need to kind of, figure out what guns Alex has, just to, either eliminate Alex or, obviously, or, as far as suspect wise. And so Alex says that, yeah, I'll get you, well, here, I'll play it.
Yeah, Ronnie had a question if it was 12 or 20. It was a 12 gauge.
And it was that camo, though, right?
Yes, sir. I think it was the 12 camo Benelli.
Benelli. I think so. But that's about all you got, Benelli, out there, right?
And we talked about this a little bit the other night, too. I know Paul had been getting some threats and getting some being assaulted from.
Let me skip it forward here a little bit till I see my thing.
Or wherever they're at.
And Paul has guns scattered all over the place. So, some of our guns aren't there, but.
So another OJ moment with the guns. Yeah, we got guns, but I don't know which ones are there. Some of them are there, but they may not be there. It's the same thing again. Just kind of, they might be there, but I'm not sure. I think they're there. I know they're there, but they're not there. So same thing going on with the guns, and he tells him he's going to get them. He's going to write them down, and he never got them. He was going to make a list for him, and he never did, which I think would be huge. Oh, let me grab this. Last Supper Club. Sideways glance to see the cop's notes and see how his fake crying is being received. So true. He does it a lot. Yeah, I think somebody asked me who the channel was. I think it's just the Behavior Panel. And as a matter of fact, I think you could just type in YouTube Behavior Panel or Alex Murdaugh and Behavior Panel, and it should come up.
So you want to know all of them, or you want to know what I think is in my house? Or what was in my house on Monday?
Yeah, what?
So you want to know all the guns that I have, or do you want to know the guns that I had Tuesday or 2 weeks ago, or just the ones that I can think of?
Was in your house. Let's start with what was in your house on Monday.
Okay, whatever was in my house on Monday is exactly what was there, minus one shotgun that I got.
I do say that a bit. My apologies, probably annoying now.
Been moved for, there hadn't been any guns moved in and out of there other than when Paul was home. When Paul came home, he would ride around and shoot hogs a lot.
What would he shoot hogs with? Most of the time?
Primarily he would shoot them with Buster's gun. Because Paul had a 300 Blackout.
Okay.
And it got, he says it got stolen.
So this is another part where he actually lies to him. He says that there's only 2 Blackouts. He never tells him about the third one that he replaced, which I find very interesting. He never tells him about the third one, for those that know about the gun situation. Because there was 2 Blackouts that were made in 2016 for Christmas. Buster and Paul each got one. And somewhere between 2016 and 2018, Paul lost his. And it got replaced in 2018. So there would have been 3 Blackouts. But now 2 of those Blackouts are missing. But he does not mention the replacement.
It's been gone for some time. But anyway, so he would use his brother's Blackout a lot of times.
So Buster also had a 300?
I gave them both one.
Okay. When was that?
About years ago.
Okay. More than a year ago.
More than a year ago.
Okay.
All right. So, but he would do anything. Paul had this, like a little light that I used.
Okay, I'm going to speed this up a little bit, and I appreciate everybody staying with me. I know this is some crazy stuff, and you guys are so awesome sticking with me. I'm going to speed this up. He talks about the blackout. Of course, he lies to him, tells him there's only the two. I was waiting for him to mention the third one out of the blue, but he doesn't.
Before we get there.
Now, did y'all keep any guns out at the kennels?
We didn't keep guns out there, but there were.
Now, I think this is a very interesting question because obviously the bodies were found near the kennels. And they're trying to maybe see, think about a scenario that maybe somebody snuck onto the property and used their weapons on them, which I think, if somebody was going to come and shoot them, obviously they're going to do the research and, if it's say the boating accident, well then of course you would know Paul and the family and you know that they're hunters and, if you believe that it's somebody besides Alex, you would have to believe that somebody snuck onto their property, most likely not having a gun on themselves, and stole their guns and used them on themselves. Because it's basically the family guns that were used on Paul and Maggie, and it sounds ridiculous to me, in my opinion, that why just an outside party that scenario doesn't sit well.
Always guns out there.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest with you, we were all a little bit bad about it, but Paul was the worst. He was the worst.
He would leave a gun out there?
He would leave anything, anywhere. And, it was not unusual for there to be guns out there.
Did y'all take the...
But, I can tell you that, they told me that the 300 blackout was used in this. That 300 blackout, it was not out there.
So y'all didn't use that for target practice, or he didn't have it out there with them on Monday?
No.
Okay, no, that's right, because it was in the house. So Paul said that one was stolen or lost, and it was some time ago. Was that reported anywhere?
It wasn't officially reported because I wasn't totally convinced it was stolen.
Okay.
So he never mentions the third gun. You think that'd be kind of important, especially because if that third gun was, let's just say, if it was an outside party and that was used to shoot somebody else later on after this, they'd be able to track that gun. So it'd be nice to have those details and whatever goes along with, registration that goes with the gun. It would be handy for them to know, just in case if that gets used in another shooting. But he never tells them about the third gun. I think that doesn't look good on his end.
As opposed to lost, but
hopefully
people told about it.
Yeah.
I know that I told John Bedingfield about it. I know that I told some other local officers about it, just in case it turned up in a drug thing.
Okay.
But I didn't do an official report.
Okay.
The two that you bought for the boys, that each one of them had one, and the one Paul lost, is that the only ones that you had?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I thought that Paul got another one replaced, but Buster said we didn't. But I was certain that we did.
So he does mention, so I guess you're kind of half right, or well, I'm not going to say half right. I'm sorry, Sweetie Pie. I guess you're kind of right, but that's all he says. It's almost like he just doesn't want that to be brought up. And that's the only thing he talks about it. You are right. I did kind of forget that he does kind of, he's like, I thought it got replaced, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll go back to that real quick.
The two that you bought for the boys, that each one of them had one, and the one Paul lost, is that the only ones that you had?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I thought that Paul got another one replaced, but Buster said we didn't. But I was certain that we did.
See, he's the one that got him for Christmas, so that's why it's just, to me, that's just so sketchy. But you're right, Sweetie Pie, I did kind of forget about that. He does mention it kind of at the end, but it's not like, oh yeah, we did replace it. Yeah, because I got it for him for Christmas, 2018. How can you forget what you get your son for Christmas? But I don't know. Eddie did it for Ooh, why Alex paid $500 for the infamous.
But I mean, my memory is it's been gone for a substantial while too.
Okay. Do you remember anything about them as far as were they the same colors?
They were identical except for colors.
Okay. Which one was Buster's?
Buster's the one.
So we have his phone. Do you know his passcode?
I don't. And I'm going to tell you.
Okay, so we're kind of coming up onto the end here, and I appreciate you guys sticking with me. MC, I think Eddie did it for Alex. Why was Eddie pay $500 for the infamous 792 Gs? Love your work. Oh, man. Well, with Eddie, with his... he couldn't even shoot Alex in the head properly. I mean, who knows what actually went down that day. I don't know if you could trust Eddie to pull that off, but you never know. The stolen gun scenario would only work if all guns in the gun rooms were stolen and homicides occurred due to burglars being discovered. Yeah. Okay, so now we're coming up to the part that I really wanted to... where he talks about Paul and the phone, which I think is very interesting.
It is right now. There's a few people I can point you to,
Yeah.
but I can tell you that he was super, super, super secretive with that. I mean, cell phone. I asked his brother if he knew it. Did the ones that they got the other day didn't work?
Did y'all get any the other day?
Not for Paul's phone. No.
Okay. I know they got Maggie's code.
I know Maggie's.
Yeah. And it works.
Yeah, I think they had to brute force it, which means they have to literally enter. They have so many days, so many times per day on the phone to get the passcode right. And I forget how many possibilities with a 4-digit number. But eventually they would get it unlocked and get the data from it, but it would take them a little bit.
It worked.
Yeah.
I've not gotten it, but there's a lot of people out moving parts. That's when you made the call to Maggie to let her know you're going to your
No, nobody was in that house when I left.
So, and just trying to narrow down the last time that you saw Paul and Maggie's when y'all were eating supper.
Yes, sir.
Up until you came back from your mom's and found what you found.
Okay, it's coming up.
You guys, Alex probably told you all this.
The waterworks here.
He did check for a pulse.
Yes. Right, and that's why we want to do the DNA.
Yeah, they're really good with checking him and how much he looks over with the corner of his eye. He does that a lot if you really break down these videos. But
Right.
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, it's coming up any second here. Yeah, here it comes.
When you tried to turn Paul over.
Okay, so this is huge. All right. So just curious, before I play this part, I'm just curious, especially for the guys, and maybe to the girls too, but if you don't put your phone in your purse, if you're right-handed, do you put your I'm right-handed. I put my phone in my right pocket. Just curious, if you're left-handed, do you put your phone in your left pocket? If you don't put, if you don't have your purse or with you. Just curious to know, anybody that, when they put their phone in their pocket, do they use it with their dominant hand? Just curious, because I obviously am right-handed, and when I'm done using my phone, I put it in my right pocket. So just kind of curious in the chat. Let me know if you do the same thing.
Do you know if you tried to turn him like towards the kennels or
right
away
pocket.
from the
Yes,
kennels?
Dominic.
And his phone fell out.
Away. I think I turned him away.
Okay. Sorry, that kind of came up fast. Okay, listen to this question.
When you tried to turn Paul over, do you know if you tried to turn him like towards the kennels or away from the kennels? And his phone fell out.
Away. I think I turned him away.
Okay. Was he left-handed or right-handed?
He was right-handed.
Where did he normally keep his phone?
Usually in his hand. But, it was, it was always on him. Pocket, hand, truck.
So this is something I found interesting. One is, let me get rid of this here. Sorry, Steve. Most likely he would have had his phone in his pocket. And I can tell you a couple of reasons most likely why. Is Paul's phone was down to 2%. It was dying. And so I assume he probably might have put it in the pocket just to kind of save the battery. And I know he was kind of having some messages with Rogan, but I'm assuming, he's probably trying to save that last little bit of battery life. But in my opinion, right-handers, good possibility, most likely had in his right pocket. Now, I thought it was interesting what he just said there. He said that when he asked him, which way did you roll Paul over? Did you roll him towards the kennel or away? He said he rolled him away from the kennel, which means he would have to step over on the other side. So that means he would be on the side where there's probably a lot of, I'm sure there's, blood all around, but I'm sure, there's quite a bit on this side, because, you kind of have this dirt over here. You could kind of been spaced out and still kind of rolled him. But I thought that was so interesting that he rolls him on that side, and this is just my opinion. He rolled him on that side because he wanted to get to his phone, because his phone would have been in his right pocket. Now, of course, he's wearing shorts. I got him with pants, but so, his phone would have been on his right side. So if he's laying down, that's going to be on this side. So you would have to roll him that side to get to his phone. That's the only thing that would make sense. Why in the hell would you really, go on the other side to roll him? You just stumble across him and check him. But to me, this is just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. But I think the reason why he rolled him, he might have rolled him both times, but I think he probably rolled him on this side because he wanted to get to his phone. And then, of course, he doesn't know the passcode to the phone. And the phone was going to die either way. It was down to 2%. And then would get actually left on top of his butt there. I think Alex, after the phone popped out, like you said, which really he just probably reached in and grabbed his pocket, because I'm assuming it was most likely in his pocket, because if he had it out when he got shot, there's a possibility that the phone would have gotten... he gets shot twice, so I'm assuming if the phone was in his hand, it would have probably dropped somewhere inside the feed room, and it probably would have gotten cracked. I don't think they ever mentioned how the phone condition, but I'm sure they would have mentioned if it was cracked or bloodied. And I could be wrong, but just my opinion here is I think he rolled him on this side to access the phone, and then realized, because he probably wanted to delete that kennel video or see what's on his phone. because obviously we know that we know that Maggie's phone was handled just after she was shot, and someone even looked at the phone because the camera actually activated and recorded 59 steps. I'd have to go back and check, but clearly he was doing something with that phone. And to me, I just think it's a good possibility that that's probably what the reason why he had to roll him on that side. So curious, seeing a little bit of both, but most people, I think it's just weird that he would have to go on the other side, you know. Yeah, I couldn't access it yet. He's throwing spaghetti. Let's see what sticks. Yeah. Okay, so just a little bit more, and then we're going to finish up. Thank you guys so much for this. Kind of one of my longer shows. I usually try to keep it about an hour and a half. We'll end the votes here. So and then I've just got a couple more things real quick here. Since watching the Murdaugh trial, has your decision changed from guilty to not guilty, or vice versa? 40% say yes to guilty. 40% say I always knew he was guilty. 6% yes to not guilty. So that's kind of interesting. And then we have 14% on the fence. So I'm going to go ahead and end that. I've got just a little bit more to show you guys, and thank you guys so much for everything. Yes, I will look at that, Thomas. Good. I've got two more things, and then we'll look at that. And thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Let me get to... Do you have time to look at Snapchat, Chris? Hose definitely down. Wonder if Alex used to clean up a little, and then he rolled it up. Definitely. For sure. I don't know. He was talking with a girl. I don't know if they were planning to go out that night. He was just talking. They were talking about movies. So I don't know if they were actually going to go out that night.
Where did Maggie carry her phone? Anywhere she could?
Yes, sir.
That was just a weird answer.
Did y'all get fingerprints on her phone?
I haven't gotten that back yet.
Now remember, her phone was tossed like a quarter mile down the road to make it probably look like, you know, somebody else took her phone and then ditched it. To me, that phone is him trying to, in my opinion, throw doubt and point the direction, to have some evidence off the property to show, it's an outsider. And so to me, I think that's what that was all about.
I tried not to.
So one more thing. Okay, so this is back to the original video. I'm sure a lot of us seen. There's just one thing that I wanted to show you guys. So here we're with the same detective here, but this is that night of the shootings or early in the morning. But to me, he's not really getting just the same thing. He's not getting really good timeline when he's asking Alex. And this girl in the back starts asking questions, starts asking some really good questions, in my opinion. And just kind of notice his demeanor throughout this. This is the last 5 minutes right here.
What was their schedule today? When did they get home?
My son works for my brother, and he was coming home to deal with the sunflowers. He got here. He got here pretty early because he and I rode around looking at everything for a good little while, probably 45 minutes to an hour. Maggie had things she did in Charleston, and she had a doctor's appointment in Charleston. And
Still, no time. No time. No, maybe like 7:20. That's the one thing that I've been noticing going through all these, these little interrogations is he doesn't give any times, hardly ever, except for a few times when he pulls out his phone here. But and this is where he kind of, like I said, I think this is kind of interesting.
she got back here. It was fairly late.
Was it dark yet when Paul got home?
Yes.
No, Paul got home early.
Early, okay. So before dinner time? Or
Oh, yes, ma'am.
lunchtime? Or
No, ma'am.
What brother does Paul work for?
John Marvin.
was it unusual for Maggie to feed the dogs this time of night or check on them?
Oh, no. I mean, she played with those dogs all the time. And it's especially common for her to, she's been gone for a while, to come and let especially two of them out to run.
Yes.
Okay, so she pretty regularly comes out here in the evenings?
Very regularly.
Okay.
She comes out here a lot.
Do you have any cameras on your property?
I have deer cameras, but none, around up here
Where are they at?
on different deer stands.
Okay, so deep in the woods.
Well, not necessarily deep in the woods. Some of them are in fields, and
Okay.
but there's none that are near here.
Okay.
What doctor's appointment? What doctor?
Okay, here it comes. This last few minutes here.
So was she back home around supper time? Or 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
See, he actually has to throw out a time. This is one thing I also noticed. Is he finally throws out like 6 or 7.
I don't think she got back quite that early. I think she got back a little bit later than that.
Okay. What did you do today? Were you at the office or?
Nope, I was home. I came home. Paul and I messed around. I was up at the house. I laid down, took a nap on the couch, probably, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes. I got up, I called Maggie, didn't get an answer, and I left to go to my mom's. She had said she might ride with me, but she normally doesn't when I go over there. And I think I texted her. And she's very good about answering the phone, so that was odd, or calling me back. So that was odd, but it wasn't that big a deal.
Okay, here it comes.
Around what time was that?
What time was what?
That you sent her a text message?
The way he snaps at her.
30 minutes. I got up, I called Maggie.
Because this whole time, because this is towards maybe like the middle to end of the interview. Oh yeah, because it was at 1:21. I think it finishes. It starts at like 1 a.m. approximately when they do this interview, and I think it goes for 30 minutes. So yeah, this is more towards the end. And like I said, this guy, same thing with the other interview. That's 3 days later. Doesn't get any really times. He just gets the just whatever. But this lady, super smart, was like trying to get some times, and so here I'm gonna replay it one more time for you.
Didn't get an answer, and I left to go to my mom's. She had said she might ride with me, but she normally doesn't when I go over there. And I think I texted her. And she's very good about answering the phone. So
This is just hours from the shootings. This is June the 8th, so that morning. So about 5 hours since the shootings. Somewhere in there.
That was odd, or calling me back. So that was odd, but it wasn't that big a deal.
Okay, here it comes.
Now, what time was that?
What time was what?
That you sent her a text
What
message.
time was what? Wow. The behavioral pattern. That'd be cool if they were on here.
All right. I texted her at 9:08, going to check on M, be right back. And then I texted her at 9:47. That must be when I started to come back. I think I called her before that. But let me make sure. Pretty sure that I called
5
her.
hours after.
9:45. And then I tried Paul. And then, no, I think that was riding. I think that might have.
So anyway, so that's it for that. There's I could break down more, but those are kind of the highlights. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, that video from 3 days, where he's just, like I said, the Snapchat thing. Let's look that up real quick. Oh, I haven't forgot about you, Thomas, buddy. Okay, so let's pull an example out so we can kind of see. Let's get do I got in this one? Got so much. Okay, we'll take a look at this one. Snapchat Paul. I think it's in this one. Okay, it is. Let me find it here. Okay. All right, yeah, let's take a look at it, and then we'll look at the how it is here.
Get it. Get.
I'm going to turn that down just a little bit, guys. It's kind of loud here.
Quit, Cash. Come on. Quit. It's okay. Come here. It's not bad. Come here, Cash. Come here. Post it. Cash.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Bubba.
Hey, Bubba.
It's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
Do we get to see? Is there a spot in there that we get to see the hose at all? I didn't see the hose, Thomas. Is it in the video? Because I don't see it. Maybe, is that at the beginning, maybe?
Get back. Get back.
Yeah, you can definitely hear someone with the hose. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Bubba.
Hey, Bubba.
It's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
Yeah, I don't see the hose, but yeah, the hose is on. I mean, you can hear the high pressure of it. still, in my opinion, I'm sure it was used after that as well. It may not even gotten put back until after everything happened. Who, we don't know for sure. But anyway, so what's coming up? Maybe I'll have to see. Maybe there's another part of the video that I might be missing. I'll have to look it up. We've been kind of going for a long time. I'm sorry, Thomas. I will, if I do find it, I will, next video, I will definitely bring it up. So I promise I will look it up for sure. So what we got coming up, Steve, of course, please, if you love the experiments and everything that we've been doing, Steve from True Crime Web's been doing a lot of them. He is going to be doing some experiments with the shooting the gun from 3.5 football fields away to see if we can hear the gunshots, which I think is a great test. He also did the raincoat test, which he fired the gun and once when it was kind of, because some people thought maybe he could have been hiding the guns in the raincoat and then fired the gun. The only problem with that, to get the GSSR, you would end up shredding the raincoat. Even if the barrel's kind of sticking out, you would have to have the barrel like sticking quite a bit out, because you would still end up, because the explosion kind of comes back 360 a little bit. So at least with the shotgun anyway. So a lot of that's just kind of a test there. But there's some other things that Steve is doing, some blood tests as well. So he's doing a lot. And then for those that are kind of tired of the Murdaugh case, we will we've got Delphi with Richard Allen court coming up soon. Not a trial, but just a court date. So we'll do an update on him. And then there might be some little tiny cases I might kind of pick up in between everything if I have time. So, but thank you so much, guys, for the donations, the new subscribers. You guys are amazing. We've been trying to do a little bit of everything, and I think the prosecution's got an uphill battle for sure. But they did open Pandora's box when they talked about Eddie, when the defense brought up Eddie, when they were cross-examining the investigators. So now they can possibly bring Eddie up as a witness. I did see someone talk about he could be a loose cannon, so it could be beneficial, or we don't know if it'd be a good thing or bad thing to have Cousin Eddie up on the stand. But hopefully it'll be a good thing for the prosecution. Just another something that they can also use. So 27th in okay. All right, thank you, True Crime. Yeah, and yeah, Dylan, we are working with some things with Dylan Round's case behind the scenes. I can't say much right now, but yeah. Of course, we'll be working on the cold cases as well. So, can't wait for Cousin Eddie. Yeah, even the name, right? It's fitting. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you can, please hit that like button before you leave. And I love you guys so much. You guys are amazing. And we will be back probably live Friday. And we'll have some videos tomorrow for you guys. So thank you, Pammy, for everything you've done. Thank you to all the members. And thank you, Lisa, for the $5. Did I get that right? Lisa Coley, thank you so much for the PayPal. That is so sweet. So I'm going to play the outro, and we will see you guys real soon. Thank you to all the mods. Thank you, D-Dez, for filling in. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Carpa Horse. Mod Appreciation Sunday. We'll get more details to you probably tomorrow.